I am terribly sorry for the audio, my friends.
Hello, my fellow personas. So today I want to teach you how I made the skin on the Nightcrawler. So I made green skin in the Grinch project that I was working on, and that was interesting. That was kind of hard to do. And I mixed it with a bunch of textures, like a lizard skin texture and a vein texture, and all this different stuff, just to give him that rough, monstrous humanoid look. But the Nightcrawler isn't quite that. He's much more of a kind of lot more human looking, but he still has the mutant look of having blue skin. And so how I did this was we mixed it. How I did him was I did just the regular kind of skin texture that you would have, mixed with kind of an imperfect texture. Then we had a blue texture with a lip mask, and then something just to bring out the highlights of his skin. And then I had an SSS, and then I had this, which was actually the bump map on his face. So that's him, but I want to teach you how to actually make it. So we're going to go to a project, because I already tried to do this today, but I kind of failed. So first thing we need to do is always open up the image texture, right? So there's two ways that you can basically make skin for a person. There's many ways, but the one way is literally just to texture paint it. And I always have, the cool thing is I use this guy basically for almost every 3D sculpting character project that I work on. And the cool thing is that I'm not adding any extra subdivisions to his face. I'm just sculpting, and then I add a multi-resolution modifier, and so the skin basically just snaps on to his face. Literally, if we go into sculpting and I just change his look, even just a little bit, we can even make him look like the Nightcrawler guy. If we do that, if we kind of rise these up, if we turn on symmetry, and if we kind of inset the cheeks a bit, if we make this look better, if we put the chin up, if we make the nose smaller and the eyes smaller and the ears bigger, the crazy thing is that the skin will literally retain its place even if I sculpt it onto it. So let's we're just gonna undo all of that. So we have the skin. How you can make this is, let me just make a new one. So I'm actually going to use this one. You can actually see I already did some stuff to it, but I'm just gonna change this back to its original color, and just go over it like that. So how you can make that is basically go into texture paint and open up a skin image. You can get these from Google. You can get these from Texturing XYZ. They're a lot of money, but they're really good if you're willing to do that. So right click is to move the image, and make sure, if you don't have this pulled up, make sure that in here you have it set to stencil. If it's not set to stencil, like if it was set to view plane, you would have this weird thing, because this is literally the image just reduplicated over and over. And if you set it to random, it just looks even weirder. So we don't want that. We want stencil, just stencil all the way. And make sure that your stroke is always going to be set to space, but just make sure that it is. So right is to move, shift right is to scale in size, and control right click is to rotate. So let's try to kind of line this up with the cheek here. and literally just paint, literally. That's kind of all there is to it. And in places like the lips, you definitely want to pay much more attention. I'd say that kind of the nose and probably the nose, the lips, maybe the eyes and the ears are like the hardest. Pretty much the features that everyone pays attention to. So if we go back here, it looks bad, but that's only because we did a little. So you can do that, but for now we're just going to stick with the skin that I already have kind of preset into it. So we have this skin, but we want to make it blue. So what we're going to do is we have this. We're going to shifty this, and we're going to open something that I got from Quixel Mixer Textures. It's basically this ugly, and it says Grinch because I use it for the Grinch project, but it's this extremely ugly, like, just flesh texture. Literally just like a creature or flesh in a Quixel Mixer, and you'll find it. So let's mix this with a mix. No, not an ambient occlusion mode. Yeah, a mix RGB. And the one that looks best to me is, of course, overlay. And you can literally just set it at 0.5 and it'll look good. But you'll see that you have this line probably going through the face, so you can just hit Control T, set the X maybe to like 1 or more than that, and it'll kind of move around. And so if we just had this, it would look okay. We got some stuff, we have dark parts, we got some pores, and then you have this, which it just adds that kind of nice, I guess kind of gross stuff that honestly, in my opinion, just makes it look good. And then together, it makes it look just so much better. So we have those two, and we can just kind of minimize these. Now we literally just want to put in a RGB set to a nice looking blue. And the cool thing is that we can just control it like that, which is really, really cool. So let's set that with a mix RGB.
You like jazz?
With the second one being sort of a lip mask that we want to make. So let's make a new image texture, and we're going to say the night no, let's just call it blue skin lip mask. Now this is only if you want to do this. You don't necessarily have to make this. This is only really if you want it to have that lip mask. If you want his lips to be more red or more pinkish than you do just want it to be blue. I honestly like it that way just because it just makes him feel more human. So let's put that in there. Now we have texture paint, and literally just what we're going to do is go into this mode and paint this lips onto his face. Just gonna go like that. And I only think I saved it to 1024, so it is pretty choppy. It doesn't look too good, but that's honestly okay. And then go up here, and yeah, This is super, super rough. You never ever want it to look like this, but we're literally just doing it super quick. I go down here and just save it, and now we can't see it because it's not with the mix RGB over here. So let's mix RGB it and put this into there, and now it looks like this. But what we want to do, this is on mix. I mean, maybe even set it to overlay, just so it can have that blue. And now we have this, and maybe set it to a darkish part. But still, does it look good? No, because this has almost lost its property over here. So you can honestly just play with the scale. You can even set it to, overlay. You can, flip them. You can, maybe set it to like right here. But we're actually just going to set it back to mix, just because that honestly looks better to me, and set it to about right there. So now we want to make a sort of something to bring out the highlights on his face. So what we can do is we can open up Pure Ref and make sure it's enabled right here. Let's open my downloads and find the picture of the Nightcrawler where he has those highlights. So this was the one that I used that kind of had all those nice highlights. I mean, you can see the lighter parts on the nose, on the chin, on the cheeks, on the neck. And this is where, skin painting and all that kind of comes into play. So we're going to set this to overlay, and we're going to take another one. Call this blue skin highlights, and 2048 by 2048. And you can, of course, maybe even leave this as white, which works. So let's save this before we... No, not save as a copy. We don't want that. Save this before you go into texture paint, as always. So put this in there, and it's gonna look white. It's gonna look, kind of weird, and you can even lower that to make it look better. And then we go into texture paint. So make sure that the blue skin highlights is enabled and click off that texture. So set this to about 0.3 and get this kind of a bluish look right here. Maybe even a much lighter one, maybe even like a pink right here. Alright, so we're just gonna paint onto him, and of course we can't see it too well, so we're actually going to split this window, change it to the shader editor, and we just want to kind of play with the factor here. So maybe even change it to like 0.5. That would be crazy, wouldn't it? Yeah, so this looks much better. So give him a, and always, change the strength. I think you can do it with like Control F. You can, oh wait, that's the angle. Never mind. Yeah, so you can do that. And let's even see, he has some, even under the lips, that's even more of like a whiter color. So maybe like right there. And can even go over it multiple times. And before we do anything else, make sure that symmetry is enabled. Alright, now we have some on the cheeks over here. So let's just kind of go down these cheeks here. He has some on his, on his brows. Maybe we want to, lead that up there. He has some on the side of his face. And, that was pretty heavy. So we can always go in with, the soften and, kind of soften it up a bit. And yeah, let's see what other places. Let's change it back to a blue and, kind of start going for the highlights over here. So over here, maybe even under the eyes, this is a kind of darker part where they are. Maybe even over the lips a bit. And if you like it, just save it, go back here, make sure that you have your HDRI enabled, and check out how it looks. This doesn't look too good, so maybe even lower the strength of this. We can even add, an RGB curve on it. Let's, set it to maybe like right there. Let's even up that ante right there. We can, lower this, up that, change these, set it to overlay. That looks even nicer. And, now you kind of got an okay looking blue skin, but, we can do even more. So let's actually hide this guy, and let's go to vertex colors. Let's add this and change it to SSS. Now let's go to, we want to go to input, vertex colors, and SSS. Make the color into the color. We can already see we got a bit of something, and change texture paint to vertex paint. Make sure it's on Y and hit Shift K. Then go to paint and hit dirty vertex colors. And I usually change the blur iterations to like a 3, So now we have this, let's just hit save on our project. And instead of it being the color, we're going to make it the factor of the subsurface. And we don't really want this to be so red. Maybe even lighter pink, right? And you can even make it darker or whatever you want. Now we have some, subsurface scattering to go with it. But it's kind of crazy. So what you can do is you can take a math node, plug it into here, and change it to multiply. Now its intensity has gone down a bit. You can even make it lesser to like right there. Now we have some really good looking skin. And if we go to here, I'd say that's pretty good. And an even cooler thing you can do is, what if I want this Grinch skin to be even darker? Let's put this up here, and let's bring it down a bit to like right there. Maybe it'll bring out those highlights a bit more. And then we can set this overlay to like right here, and then change, just play with everything, and you'll eventually get the look that you want. Okay, so now let's go back here, and let's change this to blue skin. Now we want green skin. Now I want to teach you how I did the actual Grinch skin. I did it in the Grinch tutorial, but the tutorial was 18 minutes long. So we're going to copy this skin, and we're going to delete everything. And actually, let's Control Z it. Let's say that, what if we changed this to green, right? Then we'd have some green skin. You would have some green skin. And let's say we want it, even darker. Let's say we change that, and shaboom, you got the Grinch. There's your green skin. But what if we want an actual like Grinch green looking skin? So let's delete all of this, And we're going to want two textures that we haven't talked about yet. We're going to want a vein texture. Now this vein texture looks horrid. It's terrible. It's not a good texture, but it's going to help you. So just download the maps, and you're going to want, and I'll leave these in the description. Of course, they're on 3dtextures.me. They're pretty good, I would say. And then you want this lizard texture as well. And this is purely going to be for a Grinch looking skin. So now we'll go in here and we'll go into image texture, right? So we're going to open the Grinch skin that we had saved, correct? And we are all also wanting to put in an RGB, and we're going to change this to like a green, maybe even a darker green, and we're going to change this to mix RGB, and it's an ugly one, another ugly one. Put this into the base color, and you already got some good looking Grinch skin. We can set this to overlay, to make it look even Grinchier. Actually, I actually like how mix looks. And you can also do darken. This looks, pretty okay as well. It gives him that nice ugly texture. And then what you can do is, this isn't exactly going to be the Grinch tutorial, because in the Grinch tutorial I had like another mask used to, make his eyes darker. Just is almost exactly what we did for the last part for the blue skin. So now let's make two new image textures, and let's put in the vein texture, the really ugly vein texture, and then the lizard skin texture. We're going to also mix this together, and I'm going to set this to overlay, and then we're going to mix these two together to get the look. So the vein texture, hit Control T, and then hit add a value node, and make the value of it something like 3 or even 4, even 5. Honestly, anything that looks good. So we have all of those veins now. Now I'm going to set this to 0.5, and that is pretty intense, but we kind of like it. So if we look at it, it actually looks pretty good. It looks like he's this humanoid ugly creature. And then the really cool thing is this is kind of a procedural bump node that we can actually make. So put the normal into the normal, and take this and put it into the height. And now you can also see there's all those bumps, but they're in setting. They're going in, so we're going to hit invert, and that's going to push them all out. So now, if we look at this, look how much better that actually looks. And then you can actually, let's say for this, to Control T, change VX to like 1.3. So it's not really, oh, that's the rotation, 0. And then for that is 1.3. And now it's going like through his eye, which is kind of cool. So that's all of that. And let's say we also want to do the same thing for it. So if you remember the vertex color we made, the SSS, do the same thing here. Take its factor, put it into the subsurface. Now it's real crazy, but we don't really want that. Actually go for like a lighter green maybe, and you can make it dark or something, and then add a math node, of course, set it to multiply, and now you can change the extremity of what do you want it to be. And actually, we can even try out what the pink looks like, and then take the values down, and now you got yourself some interesting looking greenish skin. And we can also do the same thing that we did for the blue skin. We can make this mask that we did right here, and you can actually see it in real time right now. It has all the blue stuff around it, which it's, in my opinion, it's really not the best mask that I could have made, but it's a quick tutorial anyways. So yeah, guys, that's how you make green and blue skin. Make sure, if you guys want me to do another tutorial on how to actually sculpt this into something like my other projects, just tell me, and we'll do that. I'll see you later, guys. Thanks for watching. Yeah.